You know, I just got off the phone with Billy Joe. It seems like they're trying a lot of tricks here in Texas with him. Just want to say, you know what? Can try all the tricks in the motherfucking world. You ain't going to beat Billy Joe. Play fair, guys. Play fucking fair now.
So there have been interesting accusations by Billy Joe Saunders' team toward Canelo, which is making this fight more intriguing than ever. I mean, for Canelo Alvarez, the bar standards is held so low, even a midget can reach it. Whenever Canelo Alvarez is not fighting the likes of Avni Yildirim, Rocky Fielding, and ends up fighting someone decent, it's a celebration. With that being stated, the European assassin, Canelo Alvarez, is on a mission to assassinate all of the best fighters in Europe for his undisputed title, Europe's #1 pound for pound. Now, while on the mission, Billy Joe Saunders and his father accused Canelo Alvarez of manipulating his gloves during the majority of his mega fights.
And I'll tell you another thing too. In Vegas, I spoke to a lot of people. I was there for 4.5 weeks. A lot of boxers, a lot of trainers, a lot of ex-boxers, and there was a few people telling me a few tricks of the Canelo team, right? Because we all know they like the Mexican beef, and we all know they like it juicy, and they normally stop that about 3 weeks before the fight. In small doses. He likes his Mexican beef, very juicy, right? And the whole complete gym is known for that. And another thing, I was speaking to one fellow, and he said, right, and he was an oldish guy, and he said about his hand wraps. I said, what do you mean? He said, man, check his hand wraps. He said, in big fights, he overwraps his hands. I said, yeah. He said he has his gloves made to compensate for the overwrapping. He said he don't do it in every fight. I said no. Right? Now, I don't know if it's true or not. But I'm listening, I'm taking these things on board. And these things will be fudged up at the press conference, right? So on fight night, I want if it comes off, I want one of Billy Joe's team, the same as far as I'm aware. He can do the same in the dressing room while his hands are being wrapped. So her man can check to see if they're overwrapped, if it is true. Check the gloves, the same as their man can do with Billy Joe. Right, there's no problems there on her side. And if he happens to wrap his hands before her man gets in, then we don't enter the ring until he takes his gloves off and and we check. It's as simple as that.
I'm sure a member of your team will be privy to be allowed inside the changing room to see them wraps get put on.
I don't know, because it seems every corner you turn there's an issue. There's an issue. They're small issues, but they should be sorted out with no problems, but every corner there's an issue. And it's not good. It's not good. And the UK's got a fighter here that's here to do a job, and he's going to do it, and he's going to do it in style. It just seems you ain't getting the right sort of work out from your promoter. Not in my opinion, anyway.
Also, they accused Canelo of being on steroids till this day. And last but not least, they called out Canelo Alvarez for his diva adjustments to the size of the ring, in which they have previously agreed to a 24 by 24 size ring. However, all of a sudden, Canelo was trying to place an amateur size ring, 18 by 18, and obviously, Billy Joe Saunders quickly declined. Now, that issue in particular have been resolved. From what I heard, Eddie Hearn is trying to come to a mutual agreement to a 22 by 22 size ring.
One of them small things, when I say small, is the ring. So I just left it to my team. Like I say, we've left it to my team, and TK, my team, was around me at the minute. I left them to sort all that rubbish. I don't even know what was going on, but look, it's one of them. You don't go on a 70,000 seater, what's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of feet long, and dance in a 16-foot ring or 18-foot ring or even a 20-foot ring. It's one of them that, these sort of magnitude of fights, it's got to be on a fair playing field, unification fight, proper proper, legitimate ring, proper, legitimate gloves for both of us. You know, but we're all here to win for our families, and we're all here to put our lives on the line, and we just want a fair shake of the dice.
So, I spoke with Eddie briefly just this past week, and he mentioned the phone call that you guys had. He was talking about how there was a bit of a mix-up. He felt like you had the thought that he was out to get you. Could you sort of explain what was going on there?
It's not that I had the thought out to get me. It's you know, if it's a misunderstanding, there was a misunderstanding. But you know, what I agreed. You know, I will say Eddie put it right. So don't want to go into too much into the conversation, because it was a personal conversation between me and him. But I got off the phone happy. He got off the phone happy, and you know, it was you know, I'm sort of I'm a man that, you know, comes down to principles, and no matter how big or small the problem is, if it's agreed and it's something that I've agreed terms with, good or bad, I stick to it. And you know, it was sorted out, and I put my trust in him. And you know, there's this one more hurdle to get over, which I'm not even worried about. It's fight week. My emotions and my energy is looking over at that arena, thinking, look, it's 36.
With that being said, the media have been trying to paint the narrative that Billy Joe Saunders is making excuses when it comes to the size of the ring. Now let's make that clear. If both teams agree to a 24x24 size ring leading up to this fight, then that's what the size of the ring should be. Canelo can't just all of a sudden demand an amateur size ring 18x18. That's the ultimate diva move you can make. Billy Joe Saunders' whole training camp and all of his sparring leading up to the Canelo fight was obviously inside a 24x24 ring, since that's what he agreed to on the contract. So you can't just change the size of the ring the week of the fight. Like I said before, that's the ultimate diva move. What you agree to is what you live up to fight night. Therefore, Canelo is completely in the wrong when it came to the size of the ring. Regardless of what old media say and all of his fangirls/fanboys, your word is your bond. Also, Billy Joe Saunders' father accused Canelo Alvarez of manipulating his gloves to fit the hand wraps perfectly. Now, I'm not quite sure what that means. However, the good thing is that he haven't fought Canelo Alvarez yet, so they could take all the right precautions fight night and make sure this doesn't end up being a Margarito 2.0 or Tyson Fury versus Wilder 2.0. And last but not least, Billy Joe Saunders accused Canelo Alvarez of being on PEDs till this day, even though ironically, Billy Joe Saunders, just like Canelo, he also tested positive for steroids in the past against Andre.
Now, listen, he just recently did an interview with ESPN. I'm going to quote him. These are his words, Canelo. Quote, Canelo is a cheat, a drug cheat. He's been caught twice. That's not a coincidence. He's still a cheat and always will be, end quote. How do you respond to that?
Sometimes it does take a cheater to recognize another cheater. I mean, don't forget who's in Billy Joe Saunders' corner, Tyson Fury. And since they both like family, since they both gypsies, you know Tyson Fury is putting him on game when it comes to glove manipulations, tampering with gloves, steroids, so on and so forth. After all, Tyson Fury is an expert at the cheating codes in the sport of boxing. So I'm dropping another video on the steroids situation because that needs its own video. With that being said, drop your thoughts in the comment section below, subscribe below, and click on the notification bell to be continued on the next episode of Akhi, TV. Peace, and I'm on to the next one.